Hey everyone, it's me, HawkeyeG, and I'm just here to try to make a quick overview video for the Vortex campaign for Eltharion. I recently did a playthrough of this, and I kind of want to distill my thoughts into a short video to kind of give advice to people who might be trying to play this campaign for themselves. With that being said, let's just jump right into it, and I'll try to just cover just the basics of the structure of the campaign, the goals, like where you can go, what you should focus on, and how you can get to victory. So let's take a look. So you start out here, and you've got this Arachnos faction, which controls most of Yvresse. Actually, if you're not playing as Eltharion, this would normally be Grom the Paunch. Instead, he's down here. He switches places with them for the purposes of your campaign. You're also at war with the Vampire Coast here. So your start of the game, pretty straightforward, right? You got two provinces that you should be able to get under your control. It's very possible that maybe Tyrion or Safri will come in and try to snipe one of these territories before you can finish things off. But that's okay. You've got a pretty wealthy province here in northern Yvresse. Southern Yvresse is pretty good too, and you can use that to kind of connect you to Lothern. So the big mechanic for this campaign is the Athel Tamarha dungeon and then the Mist of Yvresse stuff, okay? So the dungeon, basically what happens is you get a spell that you can cast in battle. You use it to kind of, I don't know if I can see it. Yeah, here we go, the Warden's Cage. So I can use this once per battle. You cast it on an enemy lord. I mean, it says unit, lord, or hero. If wounded while ability is active, character will be imprisoned, right? So you can target their lord or their hero. So early on, it's going to be mostly lords. You want to use this when they're pretty close to death. Maybe if they get damaged so badly, they start to run away, right? You trap them, drop their armor and defense, and they can't move, right? You take them out quick, puts them in the dungeon. You can get a couple of different bonuses, but the important part here is that they give you Warden's supplies. You use this to upgrade the various features of the Athel Tamarha dungeon. I won't really get into that. You can take a look for yourself, but it's like a couple of like campaign bonuses and then like unlocking units or increasing their capacity or their strength. One of the things that you need to do in order to complete the campaign is to get your Yvresse defense level to 100. In order to do that, you have to max out your city here for Tor Yvresse for 30 blessing, and every one of these upgrades that you do is worth 5, so 10, 20, 70, right? So you have to complete the prison stuff, and you have to fully level up your capital. Leveling up your capital obviously shouldn't be too hard. Leveling up the prison, however, is a little bit different. I mean, basically, you're probably going to play out more battles than you normally would. It means that a fight that you would normally auto-resolve, you just play it out and you get an easy lord capture, right? So for the most part, it's not too difficult. But you'll find, like, you can trigger this final battle for Grom whenever you want. You really just want to make sure you have your defenses set in Tor Yvresse. I would recommend getting the Warden's Tower and upgrading the warded walls so that you have better tower projectiles, you have additional troops in the garrison, you have the army abilities that each of these grant, right? And the Invocation of Ending is actually pretty good. It's like a magic blast spell. I know that maybe the White Lines of Shrace aren't what you need. You're probably not gonna hold actually in the final fight, you're not gonna want to hold the towers for long. But it's something, right? You throw the White Lines of Shrace on the towers just to have them hold it for as long as possible and get some free damage. But basically, once you hit tier 5 here, once you get like what you want for your end game army, that's pretty much it. You can trigger the final battle, and I completed the final battle like 30, 40, 20, 30 turns maybe. I completed the final battle pretty decently before I completed the Yvresse defense level, right? And this unlocks some cool stuff. Once you get it to this level 3, it gives you these bonuses to any defensive or military ally. The key for something like the Mist of Yvresse, it doesn't actually say here. Yeah, spreading throughout the region. It gives you this ability, but it also, if you, like the Mist of Yvresse cause attrition. That's why you have this invocation of Ladriel. It greatly increases the attrition that they suffer, and it gives you a couple extra abilities. So basically, once you get this close to the top, you can have defensive alliances with Etain or with Avalorn that will allow them to benefit from it as well. It's pretty niche, though. I mean, unless the Dark Elves are doing well and they start invading on the West Coast, and even then, like, does that mean that, you know, Alariel or Tyrion will own it? Maybe not. So, just to kind of give you an idea of what this looks like and how it works, but so it honestly doesn't become that relevant. Another big factor is, oh yeah, I won't be able to see it here. You have all these Mistwalker units. I wish there was a, well, no, I can see them here, right? So here at Tor Yvresse, leveling up the capital will kind of give you, you can see unit capacity and allows you to recruit your Mistwalker units. There's a couple different ones. I really didn't play with them too much. So we've got like Spire Guard of Tor Yvresse. These are like Lothern Sea Guard, but with no shields. Athel Tamarha Faith Bearers. These remind me of like the I don't remember what they're called, but like the sword and shield guys, not the squires, but the berserkers for Bretonia, right? I personally just don't find a lot of value in these units. They're good damage dealers, they're shielded, they have armor, but they just suck. They take too much damage compared to something like this. The Skyhawks, you know, I played with these a little bit. They're this cool, like, penetrating projectiles, but 100 range. You know, take it or leave it. Stock, like it's like a really cool concept. I don't know that you'll see a lot of use of them. Sentinels of Astaril, these things are insane. This is just a straight up better like Lothern Sea Guard. And then Knights of Tor Gaval. I mean, I've seen these. They're like flying eagle cavalry. You know, you got 3 of them. They're pretty sweet. But like I really didn't make use of them in my campaign. But there's still, you know, you can probably find a YouTube video out there of somebody potentially, you know, testing out a Doom stack of them, let's say. If you wanted to find out what they look like and how they work, they're a good unit, but it's hard because, so, you know, here in Tor Yvresse, you have to level up your main building to unlock them. In any other city, you need to have this upgrade, the Mistwalker Command Post, which unlocks another building chain that you would put in the main, like you would have to get like tier 3, 4, 5 of that building in your advanced military to increase your capacity for these units. Now, of course, I'm not saying don't play with them and don't try them out. They're pretty cool and they're unique. They're a part of his campaign that makes them unique. And honestly, especially if you're going for like a longer campaign, you've got this bonus, right? Melee attack and defense plus 10 for all Mistwalker units. It makes them pretty good. I mean, leadership too, obviously, but like you can get some bonuses for these things that can be pretty impressive. You also can get capacity from here. So you don't necessarily need to go gung-ho with it in every city. But the problem is, you know, you might have to like cut a hero from your roster then, or just with all the different buildings that you're trying to get. And like Tor Yvresse is a 7 slot, right? Elasili is a 7 slot. So do I really have room? I mean, you don't need it here in Tor Yvresse, right? But you've got unique building like a landmark and a resource here. In Elasili, you're forced on the port. Do I really have room to add another building? Like Tor Koruali, again, 7 slot. Dock, resource, landmark. Do I really have room? I personally didn't find them to be of much use in this campaign. I can see them having a function, and I put some of those units in the army too. You can see it in the playthrough that I uploaded. You know, I put some of those units in the army. Anyways, my point is like they're there. That's how they work. You definitely don't need them to complete the campaign, but especially if you play beyond the campaign or maybe in the Mortal Empires campaign, you might get far enough to see more usage of them. But yeah, I just don't. It's just another thing where like that means that I would have to cut like either heroes or some other kind of like production, you know what I mean, in my second capital. Instead of like getting dragons to accompany my Phoenix Guard, I would get like more Mistwalker units, and maybe that's not the worst idea. Again, certainly worth playing with the idea, but just so that you're aware of what those are and how those work. So let's get to the campaign, right? So those are kind of the unique properties of this campaign, but how do you play this out, right? What's the goal? What does success look like? So again, Start pretty easy. You clean this part up. From there, I would say that it honestly plays out similar to other high elf campaigns. Your first decision, okay, so actually let me say this. Your first decision might be, do you want to just kind of befriend all of the high elves and try to, like, passively acquire them, right? Kotik really likes you, Yvresse really likes you, and Tyrion doesn't like dislike you. He is not your biggest fan either. It's actually kind of weird. You don't have great relations with a lot of the high elves, compared to like Tyrion, who gets bonuses with a lot of them and then penalties for a few. But so my point is, you can get on good terms and like slowly confederate some of the people in the north here. And well, what I want to look at is this, right? You start with these missions, right, which want you to come down here and like take out some territories here. So a theoretical path to success is you capture your starting 2 provinces, you immediately launch an expedition to the south, right? You take out Galbaraz and maybe try to take out Carreg-Orrud. Now keep in mind, Grom the Paunch is down here, and you're going to have to cut through Tomb King territory. I don't think it's that difficult to get, like, well, depending on how early in the game it is, it's not, it's harder the earlier on to get friendship with Khemri, but if you wait too long, he'll take over Galbaraz and potentially get into the mountains, right? So, but still, like staying friends with the High Elves, not fighting on this continent, going south is kind of an option. This last one, Spectazuma, I mean, I don't know, you could consider this an option. It's not like you'd have to trespass, you just have to travel so far. But the reason you do these is the bonus here, and the key piece here is Warden supply generated 1 per turn. In my opinion, that is the limiting factor of this campaign. The thing that prevents you, the last thing you'll do to claim victory is get your defense level to 100. Like I said, that means maxing out all of these like prison upgrades, okay? You need 5 Warden supplies per upgrade. You only get 3 from capturing and executing a prisoner. And I think if it's like a generic lord, like if you have like a hero that's captured when you take a city, right, then that they only give you like 2. So it takes a long time to build. It takes longer to build up that supply than it does to hit tier 5 on Tor Yvresse, or to be strong enough to complete the final battle, right? Both of those things are pretty easy to accomplish before maxing out your prison, right? So if you go and take one of these early on, right, all you have to do is complete this mission, right? Who cares about the little diplomatic penalties and stuff? If I can get into the Badlands and take Galbaraz before anything else goes wrong, you just get this bonus. You don't like lose this bonus later on. And it's possible to get both of these, right? Carreg-Orrud, not that far down. If you can take one good fight against Grom the Paunch and sneak your way in there, again, not really that not beyond fathoming, and that will set you on a path where you're just generating Warden supplies. Otherwise, the only way to do it is, yeah, if you completely raise a greenskin settlement, you execute a prisoner, or like certain quests will give you, like you research a technology, 2 Warden supplies, right? So my point is, that's one of the options I would say is you could consider for a path to victory. I don't know if that's really the first one, but it's one of the more interesting ones. So I wanted to talk about it. When I say first one, I mean it's probably not the easiest, right? The way I went in my playthrough was kind of a typical High Elves route. You make friends with some, you fight the others, you try to take territory, and in the end, I would say your goal is to kind of match Tyrion and Avalorn for territory, right? You can easily take these 2 provinces, which gives you a little bit of a head start compared to, I mean, Avalorn can kind of take Nagaryth if they're fast. Tyrion can snatch like Etain, but Etain's not really a big province anyway. The thing is that since you're on the coast, you don't have a ton of room to take people out here, right? But fighting Kotik or not fighting that. I mean, Kotik and Trace just aren't big powers. They're pretty easy to fight, or you can try to confederate them. You probably won't have time to confederate them with the pace that Avalorn and Etain grow at, but you can still grab those. You can grab Sartosa pretty easily too, and it's just an easy province to hold. And honestly, that's kind of what I'd recommend is you want to establish yourself on this continent first. You want to take enough territory to match the other two primary factions in terms of like total land ownership on this continent. That will, kind of prevent them from going to war with you. It'll help keep the balance of power in check. And from there, that's kind of, that's where you kind of need to make your next decision. You can still, at that point, you could probably become friends with Khemri, and you could go down here and fight the greenskins that might still be left, and maybe fight the last defenders, right? Fight the lizard men and take them captive. Or you can go over and fight the dark elves. And those, I would say, are kind of your two paths to victory. If you can potentially get some of these other missions done, you could kind of sit and camp it out, but the fact that you need to generate warden supply somehow is basically the limiting factor of this campaign. So again, you start pretty simple. You take your two provinces. You kind of have to decide what you want to do with the minor factions up here. Do I just conquer all of this? Which there's nothing wrong with that. I know they like you, but them liking you is different from them being easy to confederate. Maybe you clean up some of the Norska. You definitely want to clean up the Vampire Coast if you can. You either want to take an early expedition to the south to get those two missions accomplished, or you take a slightly later expedition, and you might not be able to take... that's the thing, is Khemri will probably have Galbaraz if you wait too long. He probably won't have Carreg Orod, so you can still get that. And then you kind of have to fight people. You have to fight people, or you have to wait a long time for your warden supplies to build up. So you either fight the last defenders, or you go and fight the Dark Elves. Which one you choose is kind of up to you, who you like fighting best, what kind of units you like to use, or how well it's going. In my campaign, the other two, like Avalorn and Tyrion, kind of went over and started attacking the Dark Elves all on their own, and they were doing okay. They're doing pretty decently. It gave me the perfect opportunity to go there myself and start taking care of things. So that's basically it. That's all you really need to know for the campaign. Kind of covered the unique mechanics of it. Kind of covered the route that I think you can take to victory. I mean, if you really want to, you take your two provinces and you knock out Tyrion while he's weak, and now you have control of Lothern, and you can kind of dominate the rest of the island. It's very much a possibility, but I don't know that... Altharion's campaign isn't really designed for going to war with the High Elves. Not to say you can't do it, but that doesn't seem to be your goal. Your goal is either to kind of conquer these obscure greenskin territories, or just play it out like a normal High Elf deal and, make the island safe, and then once the balance of power there is pretty even, you go over and take out the Dark Elves. And that should pretty much be it. So hopefully that answered some questions and kind of gave you some insight on some of the basics of the Eltharion campaign and how to play through it. I do have a full playthrough uploaded here on YouTube as well. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the YouTube comments. And thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.